The sun of Yalara Prime rose slowly over the silver towers of the Galactic Military Academy. Its light reflected off the domes and landing pads, turning the whole campus into a shining sea of metal and glass. Hundreds of alien cadets filled the training grounds, tall, small, scaled and feathered, each wearing the same grey uniform, each dreaming of becoming a galactic soldier. Among them was Relak, a young cadet from the Kellen species. His skin shimmered faintly blue under the morning light, and his wide eyes carried both excitement and fear. It was his first year in the academy, and today was a special day, the day of the historical warfare lecture. Every cadet whispered about it. It was the only class where the topic was forbidden outside the lecture hall. No one really knew what the lesson was about. They just knew it had something to do with the ancient species called humans. As the academy bell rang, the cadets hurried inside the grand hall. The room was massive, filled with floating holoscreens and shining banners of old galactic empires. In the center stood Instructor Varen, a tall, grey-skinned officer with cold, sharp eyes. His presence alone was enough to silence the room. "Cadets," Varen began, his voice deep and calm. "Today, we speak of the humans, the most dangerous species the galaxy has ever known." The room filled with murmurs. Some laughed quietly. Others leaned forward, curious. Relak frowned. He had heard the name before, but only in whispers. His father once told him that humans were long gone, erased from history after the Great Galactic War. But why would they still be remembered if they were truly extinct? The instructor raised his hand, and the lights dimmed. A massive hollow image appeared in the air, a frozen planet covered in smoke and fire. Armies clashed across icy plains. Ships burned in the skies. And there, at the center of it all, were figures in strange armor, small compared to other species, but standing unshaken against a storm of enemies. "These," said Varen, "are humans, the reason an entire galactic treaty exists to ban their weapons forever." The cadets stared in silence. One alien cadet, a large reptilian named Drak, chuckled. "They look weak," he said. "Tiny bodies, no claws, no armor plating. How could such things threaten the galaxy?" Varen turned his eyes toward him. "Because they were not strong in body," he said. "They were strong in something else." He pressed a button on his control pad. The hollow image zoomed in. The humans were fighting, bleeding, falling, but not retreating. Their faces were full of anger and sorrow, yet their movements were precise, unstoppable. "They fought until their last breath," said the instructor. "They fought even when victory was impossible." "Do you know what drove them?" No one answered. It was not power, not orders. It was emotion, rage, love, pain, hope. They turned their feelings into strength. And that is what made their weapons so dangerous. The cadets looked confused. "Weapons powered by emotion?" Relak whispered to himself. Varen nodded, as if hearing the thought. Yes, human weapons were not just machines. They were extensions of the heart. Each one responded to the will of its user. When a human fought for love, the weapon burned brighter. When they fought for vengeance, it became unstoppable. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. He paused, his eyes darkening. That is why, after the war, all human weapons were destroyed. All research was erased, and humanity disappeared. The hall went silent. Relak felt a strange chill in his chest. He couldn't explain it, but the image of the human soldiers stayed in his mind. Their faces, their courage, their fire. Something about them didn't seem evil. They looked human. Another cadet raised his hand. "Instructor," she asked, "what happened to the humans after the war?" Varen sighed. "No one knows. Some say they destroyed themselves. Others believe the Council wiped them out to keep peace. But one thing is certain, the galaxy feared them, because no one could understand how emotion itself could be a weapon." He closed the holoscreen. "That concludes today's lesson. Remember what you've seen, cadets. Curiosity about humans is forbidden. Their knowledge is dangerous. Their history, buried for a reason." As the class ended, the cadets whispered among themselves. Some laughed again, calling the story a myth, but Relak stayed quiet. He felt something inside him, a pull he couldn't ignore. When everyone left, he turned back to look at the dark screen. For a moment he thought he saw a flicker, an image of a human soldier looking straight at him through the static. Rilak blinked, and it vanished. He stepped out of the hall, his mind full of questions. Why would the Academy hide this? What made humans so dangerous that even their memory was forbidden? The cold wind of Yalara Prime blew across his face as he looked up at the sky. Stars shimmered in the distance, silent witnesses to ancient wars and forgotten truths. Somewhere, deep inside, Rilak felt that the story was not over. The humans were gone, but maybe not forever, and so began a curiosity that would change the galaxy forever. That night, Rilak couldn't sleep. The image of the human soldiers stayed in his mind, their eyes full of pain and fire. He turned over again and again in his bed, listening to the hum of the Academy's night systems. Outside, the stars of Yalara Prime glittered in the endless dark, each one a silent witness to ancient wars. Rilak finally sat up, his heart beating fast. Who were they really? He whispered to himself. The next morning, the Academy Hall buzzed again. The cadets were restless, still talking about the strange lesson from the day before. Some thought the instructor had exaggerated. Others said the humans were just myths, stories to scare young soldiers. But Rilak stayed silent. He couldn't stop thinking about what the instructor said. Their weapons were extensions of the heart. That phrase echoed in his mind like a heartbeat. When Instructor Varen entered, the room became silent again. His sharp eyes scanned the class before he began. Yesterday, he said, we spoke of humans. Today, we continue with the truth, how the Great Galactic War began. The hollow screens came to life again, showing the galaxy as it was thousands of years ago, full of empires, trade routes and colonies. At that time, Varen explained, humanity had just discovered faster-than-light travel. They were young, curious, and brave, too brave perhaps. They wanted to explore every star, talk to every species, make peace with every world. He paused. But peace was not what the galaxy wanted. The holomap zoomed into a group of powerful empires, towering, proud civilizations that ruled the stars for thousands of years. They saw humanity as a small, noisy race, with no respect for the old rules. The humans built colonies without permission, Varen continued. They refused to pay tribute. And when the great empires warned them, they answered not with fear, but with defiance. The cadets laughed. The idea of such a small species standing against the galaxy seemed ridiculous. But Rilak didn't laugh. Varen changed the image, showing the first human fleet. Their ships were smaller, rougher, but burning with light and energy. The humans said one thing, the instructor said softly. We will not be slaves. Then the war began. The holoscreen showed scenes of chaos, planets burning, fleets colliding, soldiers fighting in the dark void. At first, the galaxy expected the humans to fall quickly. But they didn't. They fought harder with every loss. Every destroyed world only made them more determined. They adapted fast, Varen said. They learned our tactics in days. They copied our technology in weeks. But what we could not understand, what made them truly dangerous, was their spirit. One screen showed a small group of human soldiers defending a colony against a massive alien army. They had no reinforcements, no chance of winning, yet they refused to retreat. Rilak leaned forward, his eyes wide. Varen's voice grew quieter. They fought for their families, for the people behind them, for the idea that no one should be ruled by fear. One of the cadets frowned. But why not surrender? Wouldn't that save more lives? Varen looked at him sadly. That is something we never understood about them. Humans did not measure victory by survival. To them, honor and freedom were more valuable than life. The screen changed again. This time, the image showed a massive explosion, a whole battlefield lit by a blinding red light. Varen explained, that was the first use of what we called the Heartfire weapon. A weapon so powerful it destroyed an entire fleet. But it was powered by the user's emotions. Some said it fed on the soldier's very soul. The cadets gasped. Rilak felt a chill. "Powered by the soul?" he whispered. "Yes," Varen said. "Each weapon connected to its user's mind. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the weapon. But such power came with a cost." He hesitated. "Many humans who used these weapons never came back. Their hearts burned out. Their bodies couldn't handle the force of their own feelings. The class fell silent. No one laughed now." Varen continued, his voice low and heavy. "The more we fought them, the more powerful they became. Their rage fed their weapons. Their grief gave them strength. They turned every loss into energy. Every fallen comrade became their reason to fight harder." He looked around the hall. "The galaxy grew afraid. We began to believe humans were not mortal, but something beyond comprehension. So the empires joined forces, not to win, but to survive. The screen showed the final battles, hundreds of fleets surrounding a small cluster of human worlds. The humans fought until their last ship fell silent, and then they were gone. The lights came back on. The cadets sat in stunned silence. That, said Varen, was the end of the Great Galactic War. Humanity was gone, their weapons forbidden forever. He looked at the class one last time. "Remember this lesson. Courage can inspire, but too much courage can destroy." Then he walked out, leaving the cadets with their thoughts. Rilak stayed in his seat long after the others left. His heart felt heavy. He couldn't believe what he heard, a species that fought not for power but for love, for freedom. He whispered to himself, "If they were gone, why does it still feel like they're watching us?" Outside, the sky darkened. Far above Yalara Prime, in the cold silence of space, something ancient stirred, a signal waiting to be heard again. And Rilak's curiosity was about to lead him to it. The academy grew quiet after the lesson about the Great Galactic War. Classes continued as usual, but something had changed inside Rilak. He could not stop thinking about the humans. Each night, as he looked out from his dorm window at the cold stars, he imagined those ancient soldiers fighting in the dark. He wondered what it felt like to stand against the galaxy, to face death and still keep fighting because of love or hope. His friends laughed at him when he mentioned it. "Forget those myths," said Drac, the reptilian cadet. "Humans are gone, and it's better that way." Rilak smiled weakly, but deep down he knew he couldn't forget. Something about their story felt unfinished. One evening after training, Rilak stayed behind in the study hall. The lights were dim, the air quiet except for the hum of machines. He opened his datapad and searched the Academy's records for anything about human weapons. The screen flashed red. "Access denied, restricted data." Rilak frowned. He tried again, changing the search terms: human technology, heartfire, galactic war files. Each time, the same red warning appeared. It made him even more curious. Why would the Academy block all human history? He decided to do something foolish, something dangerous. That night, when most cadets were asleep, Rilak left his dorm quietly. The corridor lights glowed faint blue. Security drones floated past every few minutes, scanning for movement. He moved silently, staying in the shadows. The library was in the central tower, a massive dome filled with glowing archives and floating data cubes. At the top level was the restricted section, guarded by digital locks and holographic barriers. Rilak's hands trembled slightly as he hacked into the panel with a stolen access key. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the room was dark and cold. Thousands of data orbs floated silently, glowing faintly like fireflies. He stepped inside, his heart pounding. "Just one look," he whispered. Just one file. In the center of the room stood an old terminal covered in dust. Strange for such a clean academy. A small tag on the screen read, "Archive 01, Humanity Rilak swallowed hard." His fingers hovered over the activation pad. He pressed it. The screen flickered and a hologram appeared. Static at first, then slowly forming the image of a battlefield. Snow, fire, screams. Hundreds of human soldiers fought against a massive alien army. Their armor was damaged, their faces bloody, yet they stood together in a tight line. At the front was a woman holding a strange weapon glowing red like molten metal. The hologram shifted, showing a reading. Energy source, emotional resonance detected. Relaxed breath caught. So it was true. Human weapons were powered by emotion. Then the recording changed. The woman spoke, her voice faint but clear. If anyone finds this message, know that we never wanted to destroy. We only wanted to protect what we loved. If our weapons scare you, it's because you never understood our hearts. The hologram flickered again, showing a final scene, the woman raising her weapon high, releasing a burst of red light that consumed everything around her. Then the recording ended. Silence filled the room. Relax stood frozen. His chest felt tight, his throat dry. He could feel her emotion, the pain, the love, the sacrifice, as if it had crossed the centuries to reach him. These people, he whispered, they didn't fight for conquest. They fought to protect each other. He looked back at the glowing data orb. Then why did the galaxy fear them? Suddenly, alarms echoed through the building. Alert, unauthorized access, detected. Rilik's heart jumped. The hologram vanished. Red lights flashed across the room. He grabbed the small data orb and ran. Security drones flew toward him, their lights scanning the hallways. He hid behind a pillar, waiting for them to pass, then sprinted down a side corridor. He made it back to his dorm just as the lockdown began. The door sealed behind him. He collapsed on the floor, breathing hard, clutching the data orb. Hours later, when the alarms finally stopped, he sat on his bed and activated the orb again, just for a second. It showed the same woman, but now her expression was calm, almost gentle. To those who fear us, understand this. Our greatest weapon was never the fire or the light. It was our love for each other. Rilak stared at the image until it faded. He whispered softly, "Love as a weapon." He looked out the window again. The stars outside seemed to burn brighter tonight, as if they too remembered. For the first time in his life, Rilek felt something deep in his chest, a strange warmth, a connection to those lost humans. And he knew, without doubt, that he had just uncovered a truth the galaxy didn't want anyone to see. He didn't realize it yet, but his actions had already triggered something ancient, something sleeping beneath the silence of space. A forgotten signal had just awakened. The next morning, the academy was tense. Everyone could feel it. Something had happened during the night. Security drones moved through the halls, scanning every corridor. Instructors whispered quietly among themselves. Rilak tried to act normal, but his hands were shaking. Inside his pocket was the small data orb he had taken from the restricted archive. He kept it hidden, afraid even to look at it again in daylight. During training, Instructor Varen seemed colder than usual. He warned the cadets that someone had broken into a classified section of the library. "Whoever did this," he said, his voice sharp, "has broken a galactic law. Some knowledge is forbidden for a reason." Rilek's stomach tightened. He kept his eyes down, pretending to focus on his notes. But as Varen spoke, Rilek noticed something strange. A flicker of sadness in the instructor's eyes. It was as if Varen already knew more about the humans than he was willing to say. That night, when the academy finally grew quiet again, Rilek couldn't resist any longer. He closed the blinds in his room, locked the door, and placed the data orb on his desk. The orb glowed softly, then projected the same hologram he had seen before. The human woman with the red glowing weapon. But this time, another image appeared beside her, the emblem of the Galactic Council. A voice began to speak. It was older, calmer, an alien voice, not human. After the Great Galactic War, the Council gathered to decide the fate of the humans. Their weapons had ended entire fleets. Their courage had turned armies into fire. The galaxy was afraid of a species that could turn pain into power. The hologram showed rows of alien leaders arguing inside a vast council chamber. One shouted, "They are not stable." Another roared, "Their emotions will destroy us all." And then a quieter voice said, "No. They only destroy when they are forced to fight." The argument grew louder until the final decision was made. Human weapons are hereby banned. All knowledge of their creation will be erased. The species known as humanity will be exiled from the stars. Rilak felt his heart sink. Exiled? He whispered. The hologram changed again. It showed humans being escorted away from their colonies, their ships deactivated, their weapons locked in vaults. They didn't fight back this time. Many of them simply looked tired, defeated, yet somehow proud. Then came the woman's voice again, the same human from the earlier recording. You fear what you don't understand. But one day, when your empires fall and your courage fades, you will remember us. And you will understand why we fought, not for control, but for love. The image faded into silence. Rilak sat still for a long time. His eyes burned. Now he knew the truth. Humans were not monsters. They had been banished because the galaxy feared their hearts. Suddenly, his room's communication screen blinked. An incoming call from Instructor Varen. Rilak froze. Had he been caught? He answered carefully. The instructor's image appeared, his face hidden in shadow. Cadet Rilak, Varen said softly. We need to talk. Rilak hesitated. Sir, Varen raised a hand. Don't deny it. I know you entered the restricted section. Rilak swallowed hard. Are you going to report me? Varen sighed. If I wanted to, you'd already be in a cell. No, I want you to understand what you found. Rilak blinked in confusion. You know about the humans? The instructor nodded slowly. More than I am allowed to admit. I fought in the later years of the war. I saw what they could do. I saw them die. He looked away, his voice breaking slightly. They weren't demons. They were the bravest beings I've ever met. Rilak leaned closer. Then why did the galaxy ban them? Why erase them? Varen's eyes hardened. Because we feared them. Because we feared ourselves. Their weapons worked on emotion, and that meant any species could do the same if they dared to feel as deeply as humans did. The Council decided it was safer to erase them than to face that truth. He paused. That's the real reason humans were banned. Rilak's chest tightened. So, they were punished for being too human? The instructor nodded. Yes, they showed us what we could be, and that terrified everyone. Before Rilak could speak, the room lights flickered. An alarm blared through the academy. Alert! Unauthorized signal detected from the restricted archive. Baron's face turned pale. What have you done, Rilak? Rilak stood confused. I didn't do anything. I only opened the file. Varen's voice dropped to a whisper. Then it's too late. You've awakened it. Awakened what? The human beacon, Varen said. It was hidden inside their archives. A message meant to activate if anyone tried to erase their memory. Outside, the night sky of Yalara Prime flashed red for a moment, like a pulse from deep space, every communication channel in the academy filled with static. Then through the noise, a voice spoke, to those who still remember. Humanity endures. Rilak stared at the screen, his heart pounding. The humans were gone for thousands of years. But now their message had returned, and the galaxy was about to remember everything it had tried to forget. Red light flashed across the academy towers. Sirens howled through the night. Every cadet rushed out of their dorms, confused and afraid, as the announcement echoed again. Emergency alert. Unknown signal detected. All personnel report to safety stations immediately. Rilak stood frozen by his window. He could still hear the voice that had spoken through the static, soft, calm, and human. To those who still remember, humanity endures. The words repeated in his mind again and again. He grabbed his communicator and tried to contact Instructor Varen, but the screen was full of noise. The signal interference was everywhere. Then suddenly a knock came at his door. He opened it and saw Varen standing there, his uniform unbuttoned, his face pale. Rilak, come with me, he said quickly. Now! They moved through the dark corridors as security drones flew overhead. The entire academy was in chaos. Where are we going? Rilak asked, trying to keep up. Varen didn't look back. To the communication tower. I need to see where that signal came from. Rilak hesitated. It was me, wasn't it? The signal started when I opened the archive. Varen gave him a grim look. You didn't cause it. You triggered it. That message wasn't meant to be hidden forever, only until someone cared enough to look for the truth. Rilak frowned. So it was waiting for me? Not for you, Varen said. For anyone brave enough to ask why humans were banned. They reached the top of the tower. The large windows showed the night sky, and there in the distance a strange red glow pulsed through the stars. The glow wasn't coming from a planet or ship. It was a pattern, like an ancient code repeating itself. Varen activated the tower's scanners. The holographic display filled the room with glowing lines and symbols. The signal is transmitting from deep space, he said slowly. Coordinates? Old Terran sector. Impossible. Rilak's heart jumped. You mean from human space? But that region is dead. No one lives there. That's what we believed, Varen muttered. But this signal carries a data imprint. It's human technology, without doubt. The computer suddenly decoded part of the message. A hologram flickered into view, static, then the faint image of a face. It was human, a woman, her expression calm and determined, wearing an old military uniform. To any who find this message, she said, know that we never disappeared. We left the galaxy so you could heal from your fear. But if you can hear us now, it means the time has come. We are returning, not to conquer, but to remind you who we were. The recording ended, leaving silence behind. Rilak felt his heart race. They're coming back? Varen stared at the empty hologram. After 10,000 years, the humans are coming home. Down below, chaos filled the Academy courtyard. News had already spread across the galactic network. The same signal had been received on hundreds of worlds. The same message, the same voice. Alien governments panicked. Fleets were mobilized. Old fears rose again. Humans are back, people whispered. The monsters of the old war have returned. But Rilak didn't feel fear. He felt something different. Hope. He turned to Varen. Why are they coming back now? Varen sighed. Maybe because the galaxy has forgotten what they stood for. Maybe because we need them again. Hours later, Rilak sat alone in his dorm. The Academy was under lockdown. He looked at the small human data orb on his desk, still glowing faintly. He activated it one last time. The same human woman appeared, her image faint but warm. If you fear us, remember this. Our weapons were never built to destroy. They were built to protect. We fought not because we hated the galaxy, but because we loved it too much to see it fall. Her eyes seemed to look straight at him. And if you hear our call, know this. Humanity is not your enemy. Humanity is your mirror. The hologram faded, leaving Rilak in silence. He whispered, then maybe it's time someone listens. Suddenly the Academy loudspeakers turned on again. Attention, all cadets. The Galactic Council is calling an emergency session. All students must remain indoors. This is not a drill. Rilak walked to the window. Far across the horizon, dozens of lights appeared in the sky, massive ships preparing for travel. The galaxy was reacting out of fear again, just like before. But Rilak couldn't look away from the red pulse that still blinked among the stars, slow and steady, like a heartbeat. He knew that somewhere out there, humans were alive, watching, waiting, and as he stood there, the signal changed, the pattern shifted, forming a single clear message across every communication frequency. We are not your past. We are your beginning. The words sent chills through Rilak's entire body. He realized then that this wasn't just a message. It was a warning and a promise. By dawn, the entire galaxy was awake. News screens across worlds repeated the same report. Unidentified signal confirmed as pre-war human origin. Possible return of the lost species. Some celebrated. Some prepared for war. But Rilak only whispered quietly to himself, they were never gone. Only waiting for us to understand. He looked up one more time at the red light blinking in the sky, brighter than before. The heartbeat of humanity had returned. The galaxy did not sleep that night. Across thousands of worlds, every screen, every station, every ship repeated the same message. We are not your past. We are your beginning. Fear spread quickly. Governments held emergency meetings. Fleets were ordered to prepare for defense. Old soldiers whispered the same word that had been silent for 10,000 years: humans. At the Galactic Academy, Relac watched the sky from the observation deck. The red pulse that had appeared 2 nights ago was now brighter, sharper, no longer just a signal. It looked like a ship, or maybe many ships, moving slowly toward the inner systems. Behind him, Instructor Varen stood with folded arms, his face pale but calm. "They're coming," Relac said quietly. Varen nodded. "Yes, and the galaxy is already trembling." For hours they stood in silence, watching the light grow larger. Then suddenly, the Academy's main holoscreen flickered on. The Galactic Council was broadcasting live. In the massive council chamber, alien leaders argued, their voices overlapping in fear and anger. "They're returning to destroy us." "No, it's a trick. We must strike first." An old councillor slammed his hand on the table. "We wiped them out for a reason." Relac felt anger rise inside him. "You didn't wipe them out," he whispered. "You erased them." The room went silent when a signal interrupted the council feed. The image on every screen changed, showing a star field, then a human face, a woman, old yet strong, wearing a simple uniform marked with the insignia of the long-lost Terran fleet. "This is Admiral Elise Grant of the United Human Coalition," she said. "To the Galactic Council, and to all who can hear my voice." The entire galaxy listened. "We are not here for war. We are not here for revenge. We are here to remind you what you lost when you erased us, and what you can still save." Her eyes were calm, steady. "You feared our weapons. You feared our hearts. You feared that emotion made us dangerous. But emotion is what makes life worth living. It's what made us human, and it's what connects us all." The broadcast spread across the stars. Billions watched in silence. At the Academy, Relac could feel tears welling in his eyes. Varen stood still, his voice barely a whisper. "After all this time, they still choose peace." The hologram of the Admiral continued. "We left the galaxy so you could heal from your fear. We watched, waited, and hoped that one day you would learn that strength is not in control, but in compassion." She paused. "Now we return not as conquerors, but as reminders. You can erase history, but not the truth. Humanity endures, not in our weapons, but in anyone brave enough to care." Then the signal cut out. For a few long moments there was only silence. Across the galaxy, fleets began to stand down. The panic slowly turned into confusion, then quiet reflection. But something new was happening in the sky over Yalara Prime. The red glow grew until it filled the horizon. One by one, massive shapes appeared in the clouds, ancient human warships, their hulls covered in scars and glowing lights. But these ships did not open fire. They descended slowly, gently, until they hovered above the Academy grounds. Every cadet, every instructor ran outside to witness the sight. For the first time in 10,000 years, humanity had returned to the heart of the galaxy, not as warriors, but as living legends. A beam of light shone from the largest ship, and a human figure stepped forward, descending through the air. It was Admiral Grant herself. She landed in front of the stunned crowd, her eyes scanning the faces of hundreds of alien cadets. Then she smiled. "You look just like we imagined," she said softly. "Different faces, same hope." Varen stepped forward and saluted. "Admiral, the galaxy feared you for so long." She looked at him kindly. "And now you understand why." He nodded slowly. "Because you cared too deeply." Grant smiled again. "Love is the only weapon that never dies." Relac stepped closer, his voice shaking. "Admiral, I found your message." I opened the archive. The Admiral looked at him for a long moment, then said, "Then it seems humanity was never truly gone. It lived in you, in your curiosity, your courage, your heart." She turned her gaze toward the sky. Above them, the other ships glowed brighter, forming a symbol, a circle of light representing unity. "The war is over," she said. "Let's build something better this time." That night, across the galaxy, a new age began. Humanity didn't come to rule, but to teach, to remind every species that emotion was not weakness, but power. In classrooms, in starports, in colonies, the story spread. The truth about the humans who had once been banned for feeling too much, and for the first time in galactic history, peace felt possible. As dawn broke over Yalara Prime, Rylax stood once more on the Academy roof, watching the sun rise behind the human ships. He whispered to himself, they weren't monsters. They were the best of us. Beside him, Varen smiled quietly. And maybe now, he said, we can finally learn from them. Rylax nodded, his eyes full of light. Because humanity, he said softly, was never just a species. It was a feeling, and that feeling has returned. The human ships shimmered in the morning light, casting golden rays across the Academy. And somewhere deep within the stars, the heartbeat of humanity echoed once more. Not in war, but in peace. Humanity endures.